Okay. Keeps me
Okay,
in line.
all right, well, today, this is the fourth class. We're gonna be talking a little bit about some things. So in the program that I put together, there are 3 stages. And so the first one is the evaluation stage, second one is the business validation, and then the last one is the actual building of that. Well, should that work? Thank you. And so last week we started on stage 2, which was we talked about who are your competitors, direct and indirect. And we talked about why do you need to know that. Now, hopefully, as you go through this, you're going to understand that because today we want to talk about those indirect and direct competitors and why it's important to know that, who they are. Let me, this isn't.
And yeah, technological problems today too.
Well, yes, it could be. So, let's see here. Gotta do this a different way, I guess. Yeah. There we go.
I have a computer.
Yeah,
so
right.
if we want to use it.
Okay. All right, so there was a whole bunch. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about. This is the. Oh no, this is right. Okay, so as part of the business creation, we started with figuring out who our competitors and both direct and indirect were, and what did we decide were which?
For Bradley Fever or which?
Well, for your company.
Well, for my company, I have a whole bunch of both indirect and direct.
Okay, who's direct?
Direct would be CPAs, other management accountants, bookkeepers.
Okay, who's indirect?
People that do their own books in their home, or in their business, for their business, and attorneys,
Right.
and business coaches. I guess business coaches would also be a direct competition.
Okay, because you do have a lot of direct coaches that work for you as well.
Right.
Who's your direct competitors? Let's talk about your landscaping company.
How about, can we do the marketing one?
Okay, we can do the marketing one.
Just, okay, so I can get a better,
That's
I would-
fine.
I would say a direct marketer would be other agencies that are established,
Okay,
more with you know, a team, more corporate established, I would say.
all right.
Indirect marketers, I would say.
Well, is there only just
Oh,
is there only just that as your direct competitors?
I would say anything that's geared towards digital marketing that, that are more
Okay.
established or would be.
All right, so who's the indirect now?
I would say the freelancers, maybe, like people who do it like, like contract work in a sense.
Okay, I want you to broaden it.
Okay.
TV,
Yeah.
direct mail, radio, billboards, all of those. And then you get into the digital stuff and it can be all kinds of things. And so, and the digital, email marketers, text messaging companies, those are all indirect.
Indirect. Okay.
Okay, do you understand why?
I would say because they're still geared towards the marketing in a sense, just in a different perspective.
In a way, the big thing is with them, they can take the money that they could spend on you. Okay, so they're competing against the same money. Like I used last week, the analogy of Desert Star Playhouse. Okay, I mean, who's who's their direct competitor? Health Center, it can be a bunch of the, maybe even the
Eccles Theater.
Eccles
I just went
theaters,
to
it
Eccles.
could be all kinds of different ones that have productions that are plays. But who's their indirect? Well, it could be even places like the movie theaters.
Okay.
Okay, it could be Symphony Hall. It's anyone who was going to grab the money from entertainment, and instead of spending it with them, it's spending it with someone else.
The annual
And
high school production.
It could, or the people that are putting on the city productions. Those are all direct and indirect competitors, depending on which they are.
Okay.
Okay,
I understand.
so now you understand it's a broader area, and it's whoever can take money out of your pocket. Okay, is what you're looking at. Now, you're not going to try to capture all of that. There's no way to. But knowing that, and then knowing some of the who the competitors are, is important, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about. But first, I'm going to talk about this stage 2. So stage 2 is training in the types of the businesses and documents and licenses. We're going to get into a lot of that in the next 3 weeks, is what we're going to do a lot with that. But there are 4 basic pillars to building a business, a solid business. The first one is marketing. And that's what we started last week. We'll continue it this week. And then it'll be finished. And then we're going to move on to management. And then we're going to be moving on to accounting and money resources. These are the 4 things that if you don't have one of those, it falls down. Yes, you can have a 3-legged stool, but if it's 3 legs on 4 corners, it still could topple you over.
You know, when I was in the 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I used to milk cows.
Mm-hmm.
We lived on a small farm.
Mm-hmm.
I only used a 1-legged stool.
I know.
And that cow would knock that stool over all the time.
Mm-hmm. Would you throw you on your back?
And it wouldn't even
All
tip
right,
over the bucket of milk.
So these 4 pillars, though, are make for a stronger business. And one of the things that we find is people miss some of these things. And that's why this type of a class is so important. Because if you don't have these things, it can cost you your business. And a lot of times it's funny because sometimes it's management, sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's money resources. People say, oh, I like to bootstrap what I'm building. Well, good, but you got to know what you're going to need to get that going. You know, how much money is needed to sustain your business while you're getting it going. You can bootstrap, or you can go and find an investor, and there's all kinds of things. And so all of these things are going to be talked about in the next few weeks, okay? So, but we're going to be talking about the second half of marketing. Because the first half of marketing is understanding who your competitors are. And we're going to talk a little bit more about them, because when you do that, you know, you've got to know how those direct and indirect competitors, what they're doing. And if you can understand who they are, and if they're direct competitors, where they're advertising and marketing, guess what? That's where you should be too. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go and find out. There are some things you want to find out. We'll get to that on the next slide. But you've got to know where your competitors are. And then the indirect competitors can really help you as well, because then you can see, well, let me give you an example. Let me just jump into an example. So one of the things that we do is we do retargeting, and we do geofencing for marketing. Now, geofencing is really good for indirect and direct competitors. What that is so like a restaurant, they're a steak restaurant. Well, then they want to go after their direct competitors, which are other steak restaurants. But there are other people that are taking money as well, so they go after their indirect. And so the key is, you know, even if it's a Thai restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, they can still bring customers to them by going after their customers and giving them an offer. And we'll cover, in fact, I should have covered this in this I didn't put it in, but I will be sure to tell you about the 3 different things people are looking for in their marketing when they're looking at your business.
Isn't that going that by automobile dealers
Mhm.
usually are close to other automobile dealers?
So are restaurants.
Yes.
Restaurants, in fact, one of the funny things, I did a survey quite a few years ago, and I did it with the state of Utah. This was back in 1984, no, 2004. Because it was after, I had to think about it. It was after 9/11. Okay, and so what we did was we talked about restaurants, and we saw the national statistics about if 4 or more restaurants are in one area, there are more people going there. So we wanted to find out why. And so we took West Jordan as a case study, and we looked at 90th South, which had a lot of restaurants right there. And we started asking people, and we had the state and the Small Business Development Center and us all had people that would talk to people about why they came to that restaurant or why they came to that area. And it was interesting that they did. They came to that area because they got in the car and said, I'm feeling like this. And so he's driving toward that. But by the time they get there, they've made the decision, oh, we're going to go to this restaurant because there's 4 of them there to choose from. And so that's the idea. And so it's the same thing with car dealerships. You see a lot of car dealerships. You'll never see the same dealership. You'll never see 2 Hondas together because they are having to separate. And that's a good thing. But they can put, Mitsubishi and Chevrolet and Honda and Toyotas all in the same complex, and they all will flourish because you can go and see several different cars that you're looking at in one place. Okay, and that's the key with direct competitors. Sometimes direct competitors are not as, yes, they all compete for that same dollar of, we want to sell you the car, not them. But if you don't have the right car for them, then they're going to move on. And there's not anything you can do about it. But if you're right next to them, you might be the one getting that business. So understanding direct and indirect is really important. The next thing is, where are your competitors hanging out online? Where are they promoting? Where are they marketing? And I started with online, and because a lot of times nowadays people are looking at that. And as I get going along, you'll see that we're going to look at both online and traditional. Okay? But competitors hopefully understand where their market is. Where are they hanging out? And in fact, it's really important, and I'm going to tell you the story now, but then we're going to, we'll talk about it here. But where is it people hang out the most? So I think I actually used this example once before, when we were talking about talking to your customer and getting validation from them. One of the things we found is we did a survey with last May, not the one gone, but the one before. We did a survey with an HVAC company, and it was surveying their current customers. Okay, and now they had 15 years of customers that we could do. So we grabbed some from long ago, some from fairly recent to very recent. And we asked them, where do they hang out online? 79% said they hang out on Facebook. So the owner says, see, it's Facebook. And I said, wait, what's the next question that was asked? Where do you spend your time on social media? Yep, it was Facebook still, but not as close as, it was, well, let me first, this was 79% of the time they were hanging out on Facebook at least once a week. 72% were once a day. So it was only a little bit that wasn't once a day. But when we asked them where do they spend most of their time on social media and where do they find or pay attention to their type of business, it wasn't Facebook. In their case, it was Instagram. And it shocked them because they said, well, we don't do anything on Instagram. And it says, that's why you're not pulling anything in from your social media. Mm-hmm. Okay, you've got to know where they pay attention. Now, here's what we did. We started asking people questions after that, and it told us that they hang out on Facebook. They have fun with friends, check in with friends and family. And some advertisers do really well on Facebook, but they have to be ultra personal. If they're not ultra personal, then you've got to go somewhere else. And we found that different ones had different places, such as a weight loss place. Think one of those two?
That's too personal.
Pinterest is number one for them.
Pinterest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Maybe
people,
that's just
they
stuff.
didn't think about that. You know, fly fishing. If you have a fly fishing place, where are you gonna hang out?
An appropriate.
Okay, good. All right,
Instagram.
okay. Sorry,
Oh, if you're fly fishing, Instagram.
yeah, if you want to find out more about fly fishing, you're actually gonna be on Pinterest as well,
Oh, okay.
okay? You wanna find out about basketball, you wanna find out about a lot of things. They change up and down between several of them, okay? One of the fun things with Pinterest is, you know, they started off as, you know, mainly recipes and craft items, you know, all kinds of craft stuff. Well, number 3 right now is entertainment. So if you want to find out about movies, you want to find out about anything that's entertainment wise, including professional basketball, you go there. Okay, you'll find them on the others, but more people hang out and we'll look at them on Pinterest.
I find that really interesting because you do all of our social media for me. I don't even know how to get on Pinterest.
And for our type of business, Pinterest is so far down. Our number 1 is actually LinkedIn, and number 2 is Instagram. Okay,
I don't know how to get on Instagram either.
well, it's there. It's done. Okay, so that's the thing. You got to know where your customers are hanging out, and are your customers the same as their customers? Probably, unless you have something unusual that makes you different. And that's the thing you have, that's what this question is asking. Are they the same your customers as your competitors? All right, let's look at the next one. How do you want you to educate, or how do they, your customers, want you to educate or make offers to them? Okay? Not where, it's how. Where do you think it would be for yours?
To my customers, where do I want it?
How?
Oh,
How do they want you to educate them or make offers?
well, with you just letting me know, I mean, my focus is on social media, but I mean, I guess I focus mostly on general contractors. So I would say
Okay.
Instagram Instagram and Facebook, but LinkedIn would actually be a really good source as well for
Mhm.
home building companies, real estate companies that are building homes and landscapes. I did
Yes.
that. So amongst those 3, I'm guessing.
Okay. Now, also, one of the funny things about it is for builders, LinkedIn will work good.
Okay.
But for their contractors, electricians, plumbers, they're almost non-existent there.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's less than 5% of them have a LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
Okay, you've probably seen that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so where do you think you find them?
Tombstone.
What you're gonna have to do is ask.
Oh, where?
Yeah, because it depends.
Oh, ask them. I'm sorry.
Ask them, not me.
Yeah.
Ask them. You ask them where they hang out, when they go to social media. And funny enough, most of them don't go to social media.
Hmm.
So how are you going to educate them, talk to them? Okay, now their customers are on social media, but they're not. So what is that going to tell them and you? They aren't going to pay attention to social media, don't think it's worth working with. So you have to overcome that, right? Because they don't trust it, but their customers. So you have to show them where their customers are. Yes.
So if I wanted to educate somebody,
Mhm.
right? And I didn't know where they were hanging out on social media because I'm an old fart. I didn't grow up with social media. You've had to train me a lot.
So what do you do?
I go to networking meetings. I do it
Good.
face to face.
Good, okay, so there's lots of different ways of doing it. And that's what my point is here. You've got to figure out where they're going to be. Now, the networking meetings we hang out on, do we get general contractors there?
Some
Occasionally. Do we get plumbers or,
we used to, but our only plumber doesn't go anymore.
right, so,
We haven't had a plumber out in years.
yeah, because he changed jobs.
Oh, is that what happened?
We haven't had an electrician in years. We do have a roofer,
Yes,
okay? We do have a siding person,
yes.
okay? But we don't even have a landscape person. So that's the thing. Now, if they go to those, they tend to get business from those people. But if you're trying to get to them, it's probably not networking. Actually, probably for going after contractors and subcontractors, direct mail is going to probably be better than anything else. Because they're not paying attention to social, they're not, a lot of them don't even have emails or don't pay enough attention to it because they're getting so much spam. So a lot of times you've got to get a direct message to them. So it's direct messaging. Okay, so for that type of a thing, if you're going after contractors, do you need a website?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, why?
Are we speaking as far as if they're, if
This
I,
is
they're
you.
buying from me? So I,
You doing it for your customers, your
Trying
niche
to attract
customers are contractors.
yeah, I would need a website just so I can explain my services and the benefits I can give them from using my services.
Okay, good. Interesting enough, even though they may not really pay much attention to social media, they do to websites.
Okay.
They may not have a website of their own, which is a mistake because then they're not getting the benefit of telling people about what you're doing. But they do trust websites to help them learn. Okay, so this is part of it. You've got to know where it is. And are they on platforms? Now we talked about the platforms already. You know, certain things are on Pinterest, other things are on LinkedIn, others are on Instagram or even Facebook. So if you have a hair salon, a nail salon, or even a mortgage company, restaurants, Facebook is number one. But if you're contractors or non-personal type items, then it's more likely that it's on Instagram, or it was just one of the others. Another one that's popular with some industries is Twitter. Twitter, you can only get 280 characters or 140, depending on what Twitter service you're using. So you've got to know if social is a viable means. Okay, is emails a good means? Sometimes.
50-50, depends
Okay.
how it's profitable.
Now, I'll tell you, I was talking to a group of people and they said, you know, I only have 20 to 30% open rate on my emails and I have 100% on my text messages. But I get 3 times as many people that hire me from emails than I do from texts. Okay, so only 20 to 30% are opening them. 100% opening them or very close to 100% on text, but this gets them more.
Close rate's higher.
There's a few different things that happen with that. Email, if they have opted into the email, they will pay more attention to it. Texts are only 140 characters long. I call that the headline news. When I used to run our newspapers, we used to use text messages and we just put our headlines in it and say, and then a link right to where they could read the story. And that's all it was. People see the headline and they don't really understand where they'll start reading even before they open it. They can usually read the first 2 lines of an email, right?
Yeah.
And there are some emails programs that when you are looking, even though you're not opening it, you can actually read the whole thing.
My concern with emails though, because I get dozens of them.
Was that all? Okay.
Yeah, I get enough that I very seldom ever look at them. The thing that I really dislike about email contacts is that they always say to me, we can help you do this, 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 and this. I say, how do you know? You have know nothing about my company. If you're gonna market to me from my point of view.
Correct.
To do that, you have to get to know my point of view before you send me an email.
So the key is getting your email marketing newsletter set up so that you want it.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you, when you see it, you'll say, ah, that's one that I like.
Mhm.
Because it's coming from your perspective.
There's too many people that say, I can help you do this, and I say, how do I know? How do you know? You don't know anything about my company or ours.
Exactly. So, and that's part of the reasons that you don't get as many. I get over 600 emails a day. Okay, now I have it so that about 100 of those get filtered out, maybe 120 filtered out, but I go through all of them every day. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, yes, I want that one. Even though he had 2 more up above, I'm going, why are you sending me so many emails? But that's what I do want.
I see.
Okay, and so you gotta understand emails, even though they're not gonna get opened as much, they're going to give you more advantages than text messages. Now, text messages, you can get in trouble if you don't have permission to send those text messages. Now, there is a way that they can do the same thing with email, but email, they just simply don't they don't push that legality of it at all. But text messages, they do. Now, but see, once you get into text messages, then let's talk about traditional media now. Okay, so again, we talked about this. How do you get to those contractors? Well, maybe it's direct mail, maybe it's radio. You know, if you find that if you're going out on site, I used to, when I had my newspapers, we had a section that was for contractors. And so I would go out and meet with some contractors, and I'd listen to the radio stations that they were listening to on the job site. And I would put ads on there.
That's smart.
And it worked.
That's so smart.
Okay, because a lot of them, I mean, you go to some and they're listening to KSL radio, talk radio, or, you know, K-Talk, or there was another talk radio, you know. Hello there. Are you looking for the Entrepreneur Forum? You're here. One in.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's all right.
We were wondering if you were gonna make it, so that's great. Nice to have you here.
Rabbit's a chair, oh, grab mine, yeah, that works. I'm not using it.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Okay, we're a lot of the way through, sorry, so, but I'm recording it, so you'll be able to review it later. So that's the key. One of the things was, I found that and so my message to them, that's what I would use. I could use radio. Radio is inexpensive compared to TV, especially compared to TV.
So what about Google ads and Facebook ads?
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
Give me a moment. Okay? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so these are still important today, but they only work for the certain ones that you need. You know, how many people actually watch the 10 o'clock news now? Okay. If you're over 55,
I'm close to that.
it's only 20%.
Really?
No one else does. Okay, or very few. Now they'll go online and they'll look at the local news. I get it on my phone all the time. I get every time a new story goes up on channel 2, channel 5, channel 4, I get a notification about it. And I can go in and look it up if it is interesting. Of course, what is it? It's kind of like the text messages, although it's called push notifications when it's on your phone. But sometimes it's text or texts that are coming through. And texts sometimes are a little longer than just the push notifications. Okay, so we're talking about lots of different means of advertising today. What was your name? I'm sorry.
Marina.
Marina, thank you.
Just like the place where they park their boats.
Exactly. It's what I always explain to the people when they ask me.
I'm Steve.
Nice
Nice to meet you.
Steve.
All right,
I'm Ron.
and I'm Boyd, that's Ron, yeah. So the thing is these are all traditional. What do we do with things like Google Ads, Bing, or ads that you put on other things? Now, should you be putting ads on your social networks? If they're not as strong, probably not. But if Google is a big one, how do you go after the right keywords? That's one of the big things you have to pay attention to with Google, is the keywords. And you've got to, in order for it to work the best, you also have to have it optimizing your website. So your SEO, search engine optimization, needs to be correct.
Doesn't Google and Facebook both do demographics, so you can advertise to certain demographics?
You can. You can. Most of them, the places do. LinkedIn, I can target even better than those other two, but it's only for business people. So you've got to know which ones you're going after. Same thing with Pinterest. You can get it much closer to Pinterest if you're going after fly fishing than if you're just, hitting everybody. And Google, you can target, but it doesn't go as tight as it could, right? Okay, so when you start talking about those kind of ads, it depends on where your customers are from the previous slide. Where are your client or your competitors? Now, here's one thing I'm going to tell you. When your competitors are spending lots of money on Google Ads, that's sometimes good and bad. It's good for you and usually bad for them, because there are ways to sneak underneath that. Okay, so I'll give you an example. There's an attorney firm that I have talked to over the years. I've not been doing anything for them, but they do things the wrong way. And I tell them that. They spend $145 per click, for an accident victim. Now, they close almost 20% of it. So what is that costing them for every customer? Nearly $700, $800 per right? So is it worth it to them? Well, they think it is, because their average ticket when they go in and they make 30% of whatever if they sue someone. The thing is, I showed them how they could do it for $12 per person who goes with them. They don't care.
They don't care.
They have money.
Well,
That's what I was
They've always done it this way. They don't care to change their mind.
and that's a problem in business, especially larger businesses,
Exactly.
because they've developed an ego. They don't want to listen to anybody else.
That's right. What were you gonna say?
Oh, pretty much in a sense the same thing. Even if you can show their cost per click and click ratio, and they don't do that. They're just thinking about what they got from the client. The amount was can't say, but
And that's okay. Just they're making Google rich, making Facebook and others rich, by doing it that way. But that's what you have to pay attention to, is how can you be smarter than your competition? Okay, I'm gonna go back. So here last week we talked about competitors, both direct and indirect, and we talked a lot about it earlier. But what we talked about is you need to know what your competitors are doing so that you can do what they're doing, because they've already blazed the trail. So why take a different route? Because it can hurt you. Okay, so as you're getting through here, one of the things is you got to start talking to your clients. You've got to get it so that you know from them, where is the best place? Where do they want you, or how do they want you to educate and offer things to them? If you don't know that, it will hurt your business. And that's what this attorney firm does. They have no idea about what their customers want. They just know that they get some leads from it, and ultimately they close almost 20%. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you really, with marketing, there's a lot of things to it. Now, in their particular case, there are a lot of things they could do. And the geofencing program that we use is one that worked really well for them. But there's also, let me tell you a little something about websites. Websites, you need to pay attention to the back end of the website. You'll see, here's how many people are going in, but here's how many people are clicking on something to go out to you. Either setting up an appointment, making a phone call, something like that. When somebody calls, if you're not asking them, where did you hear about me? Where did you get my phone number? It might be the website, but most of the time it's probably from somebody else, or they looked it up on Google, okay? And that's okay. Well, one of the things with websites that we found is that right now people are getting so distracted so easily. They get to a website, they see that it might have some information, but they scan it instead of go through and find out if it really does have the information they need. By doing so, you're only getting between 1% and 2% of all the people going there are actually doing something with you. Now, they may come back, and there are some that will. But what you need to do is have a couple of key things that will help you to get those customers to want to work with you. Now, this is where it's important. When they come to visit your website, there are one of three things they want to know about. Okay, either they want an offer, they want to know social proof, so others saying how good you are, or the third thing is they're coming to be educated so that they can make a better decision. Okay, those are the three things they'll come to it for. Sometimes it's two of those three, most of the time it's only one of those three. If you can help them quickly understand you have one of those three right on the very first. Now, I'm going to explain something. When you first bring up a web page and it looks like this is called above the fold. It's like a newspaper. When they have to scroll down, that's below the fold. If you have those three things somehow highlighted in above the fold, above in that first page, you will get more business. It'll quadruple. Now, here's another one. Especially if you use, now we have a little tool that we use. It puts an internet review right here on the bottom of your page. So it's it's a pop-up. We don't call it a pop-up because usually pop-ups come up here, but it is a pop-up. But what it does is it just gives you the first two lines of that internet review. And people click on it so they can read the rest of the review. And then it brings it up here. Now it's a real pop-up. And it gives the whole review. But it also gives a call to action. Call now. Set an appointment. You can put all kinds of things in there. We have one person that they never ever know who they're going to have the next day for appointments. They go to bed and they have 3 appointments, and the next morning they have 9. And they're all half-hour appointments because of this little tool. It fills their calendar. Okay. Another person, they haven't called them. And she says, I'm always having to take a phone call. So, well, why don't we move you to a calendar program? Because I love getting phone calls. It means it's business. It's business. this little tool and doing something like that will again 3 to 4 times whatever you're getting from your website. Okay, the next tool that we use on websites is retargeting. It's using pixels. You know what a pixel is?
Camera?
There is a camera called the pixel camera. It's Google's camera. But a pixel is this tiny little thing that's sitting up in here and no one ever notices it, but it has data in it. And it marks itself on your computer. So when you go to another website that says, hey, do they have a pixel in there that I can show an ad for? It will then do that. Okay, so when you're on Amazon, you're on Walmart, you're on .com, you're on any of the big stores. And I'll give you the example of a few years ago, my daughter said, I want some new inline skates for Christmas. Well, it's October, so I'm looking up inline skates on Target.com. Well, I leave it and I didn't buy any because I didn't see exactly what she wanted because she had very specific things. And so I left it, but every time I went to Facebook, I went to Amazon, I went to eBay, I went to places like that, it was showing me inline skates. Okay, well then I started going to some of the news sites. Hey, there's those ads as well. On KSL, on Channel 2, on CNN. They all utilize those ads. And so by doing this, it's called remarketing your website, retargeting. And it's what it is if somebody's gone to your website, you can then put ads that will cover the areas where they might go. Now, the new technology, that's been around for 5 or 6 years. The new technology is you can put a pixel on every page.
Track events.
And then whichever page they spent the most time on, it will then give you that ad instead of the generic ad.
Does that work as well for service industries as it does for retail
It can,
products?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it can really work. So and when I talked to Ron, his webmaster's name was Ron as well. So when I talked to Ron Coleman about it, we're getting about a 3%, 4% that stay on the website and actually do something to go through, where the rest are leaving the website. So Ron and I are putting together this retargeting program.
Good.
Okay.
How much does it cost?
It depends on how much traffic is coming to your website, but for most websites, it's about $700
Per month?
a month. But if you're getting a lot of traffic, it's worth that. If you're not getting enough traffic, then you need to work on traffic first. That's the key. If you're getting more traffic, then $700 will be worth it to get 30 to 40% of those people coming to you.
And traffic is
Social
it's
media,
Google.
social media, email, text messaging, any of that type of stuff is traffic. Okay?
So if like you have a website, say you have a cell phone website, and all 3 of us go to your website, that'd be traffic.
So it's about driving traffic there. And once you get the traffic there, then it's about capitalizing on the traffic. And so like I have one person, they have a website, they had lots and lots of traffic. We put the little pop-up that gives them the internet review. It tripled how much business they were getting. It was 5% of the total traffic. We started doing retargeting, and it's only been 2 weeks, and they're up to 20%. Okay, now, some of these people aren't really ready to buy today. That's the other side of it. But this retargeting we'll keep targeting them for 90 days. Because over 90 days, that's about how long the longest is. There'll be a few that would, are a year out, but probably 95% of them are in the first 90 days. And so that's what we see. So that gives you an idea. I think,
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
sure,
When you were talking about the reviews, that is can be helpful for people, like you say, that when they go into your website and they want to see the proof that your product is or service is
Mhm.
valid and somebody already used it. Like if it's brand new website, would be like ethical to ask someone to write review upfront,
so
like friends or somebody.
So, yeah, so one of the things to get reviews, the key, I built a website for a guy it was a year ago now. And in February, and so it was 1st of November, it went live. In February, I said, so how many people have you helped? And he says, oh, probably 10 or 15. And I says, well, how come you're not getting any reviews? Oh. Well, they don't leave one. I said, are you asking them? Are you doing anything to help them get reviews? Give you a review? No. Should I? Okay. So in fact, I taught a class today and you were there about getting more reviews. And so in fact, if you'd like, I'll spend 10 minutes and go over that with you if that'll help. How to get more reviews. Okay, now you don't have any reviews is what you're saying because you don't have any customers yet?
Yes, if it's brand new business.
Okay, so when you have no one yet, there's a couple of things you can do. One of the best ones is, can I help you with your business in exchange? I'm going to give you this discount or it's going to cost you nothing, whatever you decide, but I need you to give me a real legitimate review.
Mm.
Okay,
Should
Now
they ask
What
it
tell-
privately or put it on website?
okay, so they need to give you a review on Google or Facebook. Now they can say it so that it only has their first name and last initial, so it doesn't have to tell who it is. I've got a couple of doctors and dentists that they have to do that. So, for HIPAA laws, you cannot give their first and last name. But they can put first name and last initial. Okay, and that works. Okay, so that's what you do. You start asking people to give you some reviews. Once you get a first customer or second
Does it
customer.
look like a promotion? What I'm starting a business. For example, I would like to do online shop.
Okay,
And so it just brand new, created website, don't have any review yet. Don't know if I want to pay to Google right now, like.
I wouldn't pay Google.
Yeah, and so like I should put on the website, the first 10 clients who buy it from me will get this like 10%, 20% discount.
So
if
they
you
won't
will
allow you to do
give
that.
me Review.
So Google's, when they see that you're trying to buy reviews, they won't allow you.
Oh, really?
Right, you can't
Oh.
buy reviews.
So,
They'll shut you down
okay, so
So
it
if I
means
can
that
make
I cannot ask it publicly, but I can talk privately.
privately. You
If
can't.
they would be interested, but how I can get their interest to buy from mine?
So what kind of product is it you're selling?
Like right now, I don't do anything, but I'm very close to start. I want to do online barbershop to sell tools for barbershop.
Okay, tools for barbers, right?
Uh-huh.
So go talk to a barber.
Mhm.
Say, hey, can I give you a set of tools for $5? They're $50 worth of tools, but I need you to review them for me.
Mm.
Now, yes, you're going to be spending money on that,
Mhm.
but it's better money spent when you're giving it to someone who is going to be the customer that people are going to go, oh, a barber's buying these tools? Ah, then it's great. So that's what you want. So go talk to a barber or 2 or 5, 10, it's up to you. And then just say, I need your help. I'm trying, and tell them, one of the best things I've ever found ever is you do this. Can I ask you for your help? People love to help people.
Mm.
Okay, now you'll find a few people, no, get out of here. No. You don't want to do that, we'll deal with them anyway, because they're not good customers anyway. So you find those and say, sure, what can I do to help you? And then once you explain what you're doing, sure, I'll try these out and I'll leave you a good review. Well, great. And that's what you want. That's how you get reviews. That's how you get started. That's how I got this tax guy to get started. Oh my gosh. You know who he is. And so he's yes, he's older and he's been an accountant for many, many years, but he's not real good at accounting either. But he's really good at handling tax problems with the IRS. And he's had several really great deals come through that.
Is that David?
Mm-hmm. So but he just doesn't know how to ask for a review. Okay, and so once I made up some business cards for him that says, "Thank you for your business. Can you give me a review? Turn this over for where you can leave the review." You turn it over and it's got 2 QR codes on it.
Nice.
One for Google, the other for Facebook. Okay, and so they can do both, they can do one, and they just sign in and they leave a review. He now has reviews. But I had to do it for him because he didn't know how to do it. So that's how important reviews are really.
Do you cut hair?
Me? No.
Then why did you pick barber tools?
I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I was hoping if you cut hair, maybe you can go to some of your, like your boys or your grandfather or whoever you cut the hair for, have them give you a review. Family members.
Mm.
Yeah, that can work too. So anyway, let's see, I think, let me look at the next slide. I think that was the end of this. Oh, yes. So what you need to do as part of this, the marketing, is you do need to go and find the right questions to ask your prospects about where they hang out, how to advertise, how would they like you to educate and offer to them. And you can use a survey. I actually use social media. And guess what? I use Facebook mostly for this because this is a personal thing. When I say, can you help me with this? It suddenly becomes personal to them and they're more apt to do it. And you say, I am trying to figure out where people would look for my products online. Will you take a survey that I have? And Facebook has a survey program. There's SurveyMonkey. There's a lot of other surveys out there. You can use that. And what's going to happen is when they start doing this, they become early adopters. Now, an early adopter, I'm going to explain this real quick, and then we'll be finished. An early adopter is the person who is willing to take a chance on you if you give them all that they need. Okay, so when Apple released the first iPhone, they went out and they had people testing it, and they had them testing it, and they became the early adopters to the point where they had almost 10,000 people as their early adopters. They were excited for this new phone that was going to do so much more than the Palm Pilot. Okay, and they started getting it. Well, now when a new phone, well, maybe not quite now, but back in 2018, when they released one of the iPhones, they had to have 2 million iPhones in each city or they were going to have a riot.
Oh.
They sold over 150 million iPhones the first week.
Wow.
Because in Los Angeles, they had 4 million between all the stores. Here in Utah, they had to have 2 million I'm going, there's only 4 million in the whole state. They had people flying in because we had phones and they couldn't get them from Los Angeles or San Francisco or Denver, right? But these were early adopters. They want that newest, most latest, the coolest thing. That's who these early adopters are. And they're important for your business because they're the ones, they're the barber shops that have tested your stuff and say, these are great. And when you release something new, they're going to go, I want to try that. They're the early adopters. And you want to make sure that you keep a list of them and let them know before you're going to release something, what you're going to release. Now, here we're talking about before you release your business. This is so important because you start letting them know it's going to release on a certain day. I write books, and I had a book a few years ago that became a #1 bestseller over Christmas. And it was that from the middle of October till the 10th of December, I was telling people about the book being released on the 15th of December. Now, it's a Christmas book. It wasn't going to be released till a week before Christmas. I sold a lot of books because everybody wanted it. Now, most of the people, I wanted them to get the download version because I update the book every once in a while. And I put a new chapter in it because it's stories about people who were around at the time of Christ's birth. Okay. And so I in fact, I'm adding a new story this year to that book.
Is
There's,
it like fiction story?
yes, yeah, they're all fiction. So, but
Do you have
No,
some
historical
insights?
fiction,
They were true stories because he lived back then.
Reincarnate?
no, but I've had some inspiration that's helped me along the way. But and I have done a lot of studying of things like they talk about 3 wise men. Well, that's what they put in Luke. And they don't even actually say 3 wise men. It's just that they brought 3 gifts. And so they figure it was 3 wise men. There were lots of wise men who traveled to see Christ over the first 6 months of his life. And so I found books that talked about it that have been translated to English. And so, and I mean, they were coming from Egypt and from all kinds of different countries, some from the north. That people were, are people living up in Russia then? Yeah, there were. And there were people that traveled for months. So so to answer your question, they're true but not. Historical fiction is what we call it. Okay, but when I did that, I had all kinds of people who had helped me create the cover of the book. I had them help me write the back of the book. You put, what the book is about. I had people helping me write that. When I started doing this, or by the time I got finished doing this, I had almost 2,000 people who had helped me do something in the book. Okay, and guess what? They all wanted to buy the book because they had helped with it. And that's what will happen with your business. When you get people who say, yeah, I'll try those scissors. I'll try that new hair gel. I'll try that lawn service. It doesn't matter because they're going to become the early adopters, and those early adopters are going to be who can help make you a success. Because what do? They buy it and then they tell others. And that's how marketing works. Questions? Nope. Okay. Well, thanks for being here today. Next week, Ron is going to be teaching, and he's going to be talking about structure and strategy. And so it's a good thing that you're going to need to know. Some people go, oh my gosh, and the key is understanding where to start from and where to build it to. And that's what he's going to talk about. Okay, thank you.
Dream your mansion,
Thank
build
you.
your log cabin first.
Yes.
I like that.
Say it again, please.
Huh?
What did you say right now?
I said, dream your mansion, but build your log cabin first. Start simple.
It's hard.
It is, but if you don't start simple, then you're gonna shotgun it. You don't want to do that.
Mm.
Take aim and focus and start simple.